What's going on, Bulls Nation, and welcome in to the CHGO Bulls podcast, presented by PointsBet. Don't forget that promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. I'm Matt. Follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. My friend Big Dave here is on Twitter at BAWBAWL Sports. Back in studio with us, Will the Thrill Gottlieb. He's on Twitter at Won't Gottlieb. We are CHGO_Bulls. Coming to you live from our downtown studios here in the West Loop. We got our producer Joey hanging out with us today. How you doing, Joey?
I'm good, Matt. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Oh, I'm super, man. Joey is a trooper. He was here late last night for those White Sox and Cubs postgame shows that ended.
I don't want to talk about.
I think at 5 in the morning today.
Producers are.
We've had a couple of those.
Yeah,
we had a couple of those during the Bulls season.
We're done with those now.
We are done with those.
Until at least October.
I'm not
probably
looking forward
November
to the next West Coast swing. I'm already not ready for that.
November 2022. There's so many days between now and then when we have to worry about
the circus trip.
Yeah, the midnight post games.
No, I don't.
All right,
that
so
me a little. Oh man, thanks.
I asked Joey
man.
how he was doing. How are you guys doing?
I was doing great until I just started thinking about this West Coast trip. But now I'm doing.
We got
wonderful.
months.
I'm all right. Thank you. I'm doing wonderful now. But you,
you must be doing great.
You is who
I
I'm
feel
here for.
awesome.
There he is.
You guys ready for this? You ready for this?
I am ready for this, guys. It is time. First of all, he's got a haircut too. Let's point that out. It is time for Summer Peck. Summer Peck makes me feel fine.
Wait.
Look at it.
Oh, he came prepared.
Yes, he did.
He came prepared.
Boom.
So there it is. Look, get a gaze
And
at
the
it,
brand
Lawrence.
new Burks, baby.
Get a gaze with the Burks.
Woo!
With the brand new.
Woo! Oh, I feel good.
He has been ready for
It
this.
is 80-something degrees, you guys.
Look how happy he is.
Oh, my gosh. I am wearing this for the next 3 months.
Seriously, Joey, have you seen him this happy?
No, and I had zero clue he was about to take off his shirt and reveal the
I
tag.
knew, I knew it was coming.
These pasty white non-guns are out until September.
How do you feel about Summer Peck there, Will?
I'm just gonna soak it in.
Okay,
It does get a little cooler later this week.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but let's enjoy it while we can.
Let's enjoy it while
Let's
we
enjoy
can.
it while we can.
Yeah.
We will take all that in.
Also, there's something going on with the AC in our studio.
True.
Toasty as hell in here right now.
Yeah, this is
I
a
bet
great
y'all
play
wish
by
you
you.
were wearing a cutoff tee.
Oh, no, I got my water. Listen, I sat right in front of the air, sitting at that TV for about a good 50 minutes.
Oh,
Is that why you were sitting so close?
That's why I was sitting so close. It wasn't because I was getting basketball knowledge, of
can
I
course.
thought you
the
were
set?
really locked in to Windhorse. Dave is sitting so close
That
to the
doesn't even
TV.
sound right. but I was locked in, but I was locked into that air that was hitting me all in the face and feeling good. So I feel great. And I got my cup of ice water right here, too. I feel pretty wonderful, man. But you look cool as a fan, man. You look like nothing has bothered you.
I should have worn shorts.
I was going to say, this gentleman over here, bless his heart, he's
pants.
wearing khakis.
Oh, no, man. You got to show off the gams,
They're
baby.
cool, but they're not shorts.
Dude.
That was a mistake.
You got another day to make up for it, man.
Yes.
You got another 2 days to make up for it.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I'll come in looking like Summer Peck.
Oh, my God.
Just throw on a bathing suit.
Where's the old style, though? Like, where's the beer?
It's 3 in the afternoon.
Again, where's the old style?
I'm
Where's
working.
the beer?
On off days.
One more time.
at 3
The Bulls didn't lose today.
Are there any old styles left in the fridge? I brought some old styles and left them here and said, hey, everybody help yourself.
They might be in there, man. They might be.
I'm not going to get up from the set
Pack,
now.
you want an
walk
old
all
style?
the way to the kitchen to see
Joey
if there's
will
old
get
styles.
you
Pat, do you want an old style?
If there's an old style in that fridge, I'll
go
absolutely
check.
take an old style.
He's gonna go check.
Don't pull up any graphics.
to complete the ensemble.
I got you. But see, because I've seen this so many times,
Right.
And I've rarely seen it without a beverage in his hand, and it just doesn't.
You got a
look complete.
This is true.
visual.
Yeah.
Like I feel a little empty and naked right now without an ice cold old style in my hand.
Like if this was an action figure, you know what I'm saying? Like,
All
just
accessories
all
included.
accessories included.
You got the
Peak
shades.
Chicago
You got the
happening.
backwards baseball
Peak
cap.
Chicago.
Will is right. Peak Chicago. No old styles.
No
No old
old
styles.
styles.
No old styles for him, man.
Jim.
He will rectify that immediately when he gets out of here.
Yeah,
Man.
and I've got a little bit more self-respect than Jimmy Butler. I'm not drinking any of that Michelob Ultra.
Oh man, and the Burks,
Brand
brand
new,
new
baby.
spanking
Woo!
Burks right there.
Oh, they still have soles and the heels are intact.
Not for long.
I gotta break them in. Gotta wear them in. All right,
You're
guys-
a Burks fan too.
Yeah, I think I got the same ones.
Okay. Should I
The
get
brown
a pair?
leather? Absolutely
Yes,
should. They're
I should.
They're
fantastic.
so comfortable.
So comfortable.
You got to wear them in for like a few months, and then they just mold to your feet, and it's like you feel like your feet are just walking around in their own little
just
private
made for
clouds.
you.
Well, I have a question. Like, how do they feel those first few months though?
Like they
Little
feel
stiff.
a little stiff,
stiff?
A little stiff,
but
but it's worth it.
and
Okay.
it's like not
the
nearly
long
as
game.
bad as breaking in like a
gotta
stiff
play the
pair of
long game.
shoes.
Okay. All right.
Your
All
toes
right.
and your heels are still free. You just gotta,
And the
Gotta
other
work
thing
that
is
in.
you'll have them for like at least 5 years.
Okay.
Oh,
5
mine don't
years,
last.
wow.
Mine don't last 5.
I'll say I know the only person I knew with those was my father. He would wear shoes like that all the time. We called them Air Moseses.
I love that.
Got your Air Moses.
Air
on.
Moses?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Got
no-
his Air Moses, parting the Red Sea when he was walking around. So yeah, those are comfortable though. The
I
tracks
have
on the bottom. Yeah.
played pickup basketball in Berks.
Why?
Don't recommend it.
That is an ankle sprain waiting to happen.
Yes.
Oh, every time an ankle sprain.
Body sprain.
Maybe a bashed toenail.
You see Cody saying,
Cody!
Matt is an absolute vibe right
Come
now.
join me, won't you?
Oh,
this
man.
is summertime
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Get that in right there. Joey, do you have some Burks or anything like that?
No, I'm more of like a Adidas flip flop guy.
Okay.
I-
That's what I
Okay.
go with.
See, he's on my level. Okay.
Like they make those with like the foam at the bottom.
Yep. He's on my level.
Yeah.
Yep. Adidas
The
and
ones-
Nike flip
the
flops.
ones
I was gonna
just
say,
like-
Big Dave, I feel like you're more of a flip flop guy than a
Yeah,
Burke
I'm
guy.
Adidas and Nike.
Like a one strap.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
one
one
strap.
strap
As opposed
run
to the
across.
thumb.
No, yeah, sorry,
No
slides.
thongs.
It's
I don't-
technically
yeah.
they
Slides.
called slides, correct?
Slides, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely about them
I've,
slides.
I've never been a wedge the thong between my big toe and my second toe.
No, that's not
person.
me. It's not comfortable.
No.
It's not comfortable, man. No, but the slide all day long. I will walk around. Matter of fact, you've seen me wear some in here before recently. That will happen
That's
again.
true.
I will definitely walk up in here with some slides. That's gonna happen.
I'm wearing the Berks of the office for the next 3 months.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so I guess we should talk about basketball.
Okay. all right.
We're going to continue on with our player evaluations that we've been doing for the past week. We did an audio-only episode of our pod, which will be what we'll do this offseason every Monday, about Patrick Williams yesterday. So if you guys haven't listened to that one yet, go check out your podcast feeds and give that one a listen after this. Today we're going to do Alex Caruso, but before that, we actually have to talk about news. Thanks to the Hoop Collective and Brian Windhorst that dropped earlier this morning that sent Bulls Twitter running around, lighting itself on fire.
Ablaze.
Blaze. And like I hadn't even gotten to the Hoop Collective yet this morning, and Will, you sent a message in our our Bulls Slack channel being like,
Hate to
we
say it,
should
but
probably touch on this.
should
And I was
probably
like, oh
talk about
God,
this.
what is this bullshit? And then there it was. So thanks, Will. What I'm basically trying to say is this is your fault.
Don't kill the messenger.
Never will. Never do that.
In case you missed it, on the Hoop Collective podcast, Brian Windhorst was talking with Bobby Marks and Bulls fans' old best friend Nick Friedel
Shout out.
about Zach Levine and his upcoming unrestricted free agency. And paraphrasing, there were a couple of key takeaways. One, that from what he has heard from other executives around the NBA, the Zach Levine is staying in Chicago and signing a max is not as ironclad, lockdown deal, whatever phrasing he used to describe it, as some might have thought originally. And on top of that, the Portland Trail Blazers are a team to keep an eye out for as a potential landing spot if the Bulls and Zach don't come to a deal. Gentlemen, I know how I feel about this. How do you feel about this?
It's dumb. It's silly. I understand. It's slow news. You got to put it out there. You know what I mean? You got to say things. I get all of that. But everything I've known or have seen about Zach Levine, it has always been, I want to win. I want to be the man. I want to win.
I deserve to get what I'm worth.
Correct. He deserves to get his check. So 2 birds in 1 stone.
Only one
means
place to do that.
Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
You want your check and you want your best chance of winning. It seems like that's only going to happen in Chicago.
So I just listened to it on my drive-in, and basically what I heard was because Zach didn't basically come out and say, I'm going to re-sign on a max deal with the Bulls, other GMs or executives around the league said, oh, I'd be interested in one Zach Levine on my team.
One, please.
Great.
Yes.
And then they just threw out a team. Maybe that team has specifically expressed interest, maybe not. But the Blazers, as a team that he might, not that Zach might choose to go to, but that would be interested in having Zach. Not that news breaking to me. I think a lot of teams would want to have Zach Levine on their team. So, to me, really kind of much ado about nothing. Mm-hmm. The stance that I had right after the season ended, which is like Zach stands to get the most money in Chicago and the best chance at winning, and it's kind of a no-brainer on the Bulls' part to re-sign. Still feel that way.
Yeah. I was talking. Well, I shouldn't say talking, but I was reading the tweet from Danny Moraine, who was formerly of Blazers Outsiders. Good guy. Real,
shout out, Danny.
Real good dude. Shout out to Danny. And this is what he tweeted out. We've mentioned Levine before, but not like this. But you don't renounce every bit of your roster to overpay a guy.
Yeah.
So basically, you're going to have to give up everything. That's what he's saying, to get Zach Levine on your team. And it doesn't seem like they want to do that, especially with a young guy like Anthony Simmons there for them.
My question is, like, how much leverage do the Bulls have here? I know they obviously are the ones that he will have to sign with in order to do the sign and trade, right? Like, he's not going to just go sign elsewhere because he would leave like $56 million on the table.
Right.
But it's not a restricted free agency situation where they can just say no unless you give us whatever we want. So I don't know like how much the Bulls can actually get back in a sign and trade. Maybe it's like Simons and Nasir Little and salary cap matching, and maybe they remove the protection on that pick, something like that. I'm just not sure like how much the Bulls stand to benefit from something like that, unless Zach is like, I'm just not re-signing with you, in which case he could just go sign with the Blazers on his own.
Yeah. The one part of all of this, and it kind of coincided and it happened in the same time, was that Woj tweet about the Portland Trailblazers committing to that guy as their new GM. I'm blanking on it. Right. So and also in that same Woj tweet saying, and he is adamant about keeping and building around Damian Lillard, even though they made the McCollum trade, and some people thought, based on what the Blazers did the back half of this year, that they were heading towards a rebuild. And that maybe not being the case, and saying, no, we're going to just try and reconstruct things, but still around Dame, and build a competitor and a winner now around Dame while we still can. That at least could lead you down a logic trail of, okay, maybe Dame and CJ didn't quite work, but they're going to look for another star to pair with Dame.
Sure.
And maybe Zach Levine is that star if he's really going to go out and be wined and dined in unrestricted free agency and consider leaving Chicago. That at least is followable logic.
Yes.
The part where I am like, no, this stops before it starts, is thinking about who benefits the most from something like this coming out. Zach Levine and his people at Clutch Sports.
Correct.
Who leaks something? The person that it will benefit to have that thing leaked. Anybody wonder, like, oh, maybe it's executive talking, Zach Levine's really thinking about leaving Chicago. This is just his people, Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, saying, hey, Bulls, just in case you were thinking about trying to lowball us, we're going to throw this out there that other executives and other teams around the league are very interested in Zach's services and are willing to throw some money at him if you aren't. There's no other answer to where this came from other than Zach Levine's representatives.
I don't even think it goes that far, because he's already done that. He's already said, I'm going to go test the market.
Right.
So to me, the only news here is that the Blazers would be interested in Zach Levine, which is like, of course.
Of course. Right. And I think it also just reiterates that basically he's the number one unrestricted free agent
Yeah.
going into this. So I think more of this is going to keep coming and keep showing up.
Oh, yeah. Prepare.
As it goes
Put your
on.
seatbelts on.
You know what I'm saying? Like
It's going to happen for the next.
It's been a while.
What is it? 2-3 months?
Right. You know what I mean? And I said this last time. Like it's got to feel good for Zach to be wanted.
Oh yeah.
And he's always kind of been underpaid. You know what I mean? And a guy you haven't spoken about, kind of guy you keep on the lower tier. So now you have a chance to be number one guy at something in the NBA. He's going to take full advantage of it, and he's got the right team behind him in Clutch Sports to actually kind of elevate that and make it look bigger
That's
than
why
what I think it is.
Went out and signed with Rich Paul.
He's not an idiot, man. He's not a dummy.
Yeah, that change in representation leading up to his second post-rookie contract, the biggest contract of his NBA career, undoubtedly. That's not a coincidence that he went over to Clutch Sports.
No.
And look, I think right now, as far as the sort of low-key NBA free agent summer we are waiting to arrive, Clutch Sports clients, NBA's biggest names and biggest stars, Zach's probably their top priority this summer.
Sure.
Getting Zach
Tristan?
Levine paid is their top priority this summer.
Tristan Thompson?
He's on the Kardashians. It's different. They got that covered.
Dead to me. I saw Tristan's Instagram story like a week or so ago after the Bulls season had ended. And it was just 8 different pictures of him hanging out with Drake. And I was like, oh, my God. Go, sir.
Peace. Go forth and prosper.
Stylo in the comments said, Big Dave said it the other day, dinner is at home on the table when you're ready, Zach.
It is, bro.
Yeah.
Like, when you get home, then it'll be waiting, man. You know, it'll probably be in the oven because you'll be out late with some foil over it. You know what I mean? It'll be ready to go, though, man. So whenever you're ready to get home and eat, it'll be there. But he's going to go out. Like,
I
it's
will
gonna
say
happen.
this. One of the other things that I think Bobby Marks mentioned on that episode of the Hoop Collective was that it was kind of a foregone conclusion that Zach was going to re-sign. He seemed very happy. The Bulls were doing well. There was finally like some reason for optimism in Chicago, and he seemed to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But the fact that he went out and said, he didn't even say this, but he alluded to the fact that he wasn't just going to go ahead and re-sign with the Bulls, suggests that maybe the Bulls didn't put that full max on the table, or they wanted some injury provision, or whatever the reason may be. That is what, suggested or inspired him to want to go get courted in free agency. Or it could just be what you're saying, which is he just wants to feel wanted.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's fair. So, again, I'm not putting too much stock into this. We're going to hear about it for the next several months. A lot of teams are interested in Zach Levine. We get it.
It's going to play the field, man.
We get it.
It's going to play the field.
Dupes in the comments asking, you think Zach ends up wanting a short-term max so he gets a second bite while he's in his prime? I don't think so. I think if you, and look, this is the part of giving Zach the max that it's not that I don't feel good about it, but it is the one part that is a little bit of a worry is if he's thinking about this knee that has been bothering him this season, a guy who's already had a surgically repaired ACL tear, and this being the one big opportunity to grab that bag of guaranteed money in your prime, take the most. Like, again, and it's something that we've touched on before, when Zach's contract issue came up, before the season was even over, Bulls fans were starting to fret about this. The advice that he absolutely 100% guarantee you got from Rich Paul and Clutch Sports was, sign the biggest contract. You want to leave Chicago? Whatever. You want to do something? We'll figure that out later when we need to figure that out.
Yeah.
The most guaranteed money on the table now, take it, sign it.
I think that's definitely the most likely, but I do think there's a scenario where he signs a 2-year deal, lines him up with the rest of DeRozan's contract, and he becomes a free agent for his 10th season in the NBA.
I agree
at
with
which
that.
point he would be eligible for a 35% of the cap
vet
max.
boosted cap, cap
Exactly.
percentage.
So that
Completely agree.
that would basically start him at $42.7 million in the first year as opposed to 36.6. So it's definitely a boost. And the cap is rising, so it could even be higher than that.
Right.
I definitely think that's on the table, but at the same time, you're talking about a guy who's had the ACL, who's going to have another surgery this summer in all likelihood. You probably want to lock in, and that's why the Bulls have the most enticing offer, which is that 5th-year player option that he can either decide to take or not. But it just locks in that extra year, which guaranteed money is really valuable for anybody,
right?
But especially for a guy who's had injuries.
So basically, the most money, the best options, and the best chance of winning.
Right.
It's all here in Chicago for Zach.
And if he wants to go somewhere else, you kind of have to gut your roster to get him. So it really doesn't make a ton of sense.
It's not making. All right, I'm trying because I want to see the logic in the other side. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't seem like it's really there.
The other argument, the geography argument that I've seen plenty on Twitter over the last 12, also to me is like completely not real. Like no, as in like why would Zach care? People who say, "Oh, well, it's Portland. He's from the Seattle area." Portland's a lot closer to Seattle than Chicago is. It's like, yeah, for a guy who is, when in season, not going to be able to like scoot home to Seattle anyway if he wants to.
Right.
Even when they're playing at home, it's not like be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to commute between Portland and Seattle.
I think he's based in L.A. anyway.
Yeah,
He is. You're right.
and he's an NBA player who's traveling all the time anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh well, being geographically closer to my home region is worth passing up an extra $50+ million on the biggest contract I can sign?
I'm gonna say no.
Nonsense, poopy pants.
And it would make sense to me if winning was involved. I promise you. I'll be like, okay, he has a chance to go win. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere else, and I mean win right now. I don't see that. I only see it here with Chicago. This is a great chance for him to elevate and grow and win and continue to build that brand that he's already been building here in Chicago. All right, this ain't Indiana, bro. It's Chicago. He can do his thing.
Speaking of in Chicago, Dupes in the comments just said, I live in Portland. There is nothing here for a millionaire to do. I don't even know why Dame wants to stay here. Well, thank you for that insight, Dupes.
Good looking out.
Shout out to our pal Jamal. You know, remember Jamal from Gary, Indiana?
What do I?
Just a glorious city, Gary, Indiana.
Boy, that was classic.
If this was the previous front office, I'd be more worried about Zach leaving, even with us making the playoffs. But this front office gives me confidence. And Gary chiming in saying, that's truth, Jamal, and Acme we trust. Yeah.
Absolutely right. Like, they allow me to put my hands behind my head and feel like summertime Peck.
Oh,
They really
y'all
they
don't
allow
want
me
that,
to relax, man. No, I don't want that. I'm just saying how it makes me feel. You know what I mean? It puts me on that level with you, with that old style, sir. That's what it does. And yeah, it feels good to have that competency, Will. It really does, man. Because it's been a long time without that stuff.
Nothing to add there. That is facts.
Well, if there's nothing to add there, then let us consider this matter settled until the next dumb rumor pops up 3 days from now. We have to do this all over again.
Tomorrow.
Right.
And we will get to our
to the
Alex
bench.
Caruso player evaluations coming up next in just a minute. But first, today's episode brought to you by PointsBet. Use that promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. And the best way to support CHGO is to download that PointsBet app using promo code CHGO and making a first-time deposit of $50 or more. If you do that, not only do you get those 2 risk-free bets up to $2K, but you also get a free membership to CHGO, which unlocks all of our exclusive web content, all of Will, the GOAT, the Thrill, Gottlieb's incredible Bulls coverage, but every team that we cover here in Chicago, including recently added Chicago Fire, Chicago Red Stars, and you know we cover in the Sky. I'm still mad about that season opening loss.
You was not happy.
I was
You
so
were not happy,
that
dog.
call, that foul at the end that allowed that game to go to overtime.
Yeah.
Boy, I was pissed about that.
Trash.
But that's part of what you get when you become a CHGO member is coverage of the Chicago Sky. Plus, you get a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker and access to our members-only private Discord channels. All of that. If you have any questions about how to do this PointsBet sign-up, just email us, pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. Today is Tuesday. You know what that means. It's time for our PointsBet pick of the week. Woo! And, gentlemen, I am looking at tonight's Mavs-Suns Game 5.
Talk to me.
Love that Luka and the Mavs were able to tie up that series 2-2.
Appreciate that.
Can't wait for Game 5, second half of the doubleheader tonight. I'm going to take the over, and it's a make-your-own over.
Okay.
Over-under is set at 215 even. I'm pushing that to get plus money, plus 110 to 217.5. And here's why. Slightly lower scoring totals in games 3 and 4 in Dallas. In games 1 and 2 in Phoenix, they were a combined 238 and 235. And you're getting plus money at 217.5.
That certainly is a lot of numbers.
Boom. All those numbers add up to my PointsBet pick of the week. You can go with the regular 215, or if you want to boost it a little bit to get plus money, I went 217.5, taking the over on 217.5, Game 5 tonight. Boom.
He just spoke Chinese to me. Like I'm just like, okay, great.
That certainly is a lot of numbers.
I got to get you in that PointsBet app, Dave. I got to do
He's
it.
trying, man. It's the one thing you're
Come
trying.
on.
I'm like, Matt, hey, how about you drink stuff and, feel better so you live longer? That's like, how about you spend all your money gambling tonight? That's what he focuses on.
Investing all your money and turning it into more piles of money.
That's a great argument, actually. That's not a bad argument.
Did I not just tell y'all before we sat down to hit record and go live that I'm actually on a bit of a hot streak right now?
You did say that.
With these NBA playoff games. Knock on wood again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rolling, baby.
He's rolling. When's the last time you've placed a bet?
What is it? Don't leave the table on a heater.
Ooh.
Never leave the table on a heater.
Never leave the table on a heater. I haven't bet on individual games. I mostly bet on NFL games.
Right.
So I feel like I overthink NBA games.
Okay.
But I have some NBA futures for teams that I'm very excited about.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what they are. Celtics, Suns, Warriors, Miami Heat. So hopefully one of those
as your
teams,
final four?
Just I had futures
Or
on them throughout
futures
the
on
year.
any of those four winning the
teams to win
title?
the title.
Dude,
Yeah.
you got 4 of the final 8. You're in great
I'm
shape.
feeling good. We need the Celtics. That's the one I'm nervous about. If the Bucks beat the Celtics, they're repeating. It's just they're doing it.
Did I back you up on yesterday's pod when you were like,
You
I'm still
absolutely
kind of
did.
feeling the Celtics? And I was like, you're
That
right,
was
man.
absolutely wishful thinking on my part, and we were both right.
Wish
I
come
told you,
true.
man.
And
Dude, that Celtics Bucks game last night was crazy. Back and forth.
great
And
game, man.
then the Celtics just went on that crazy run late in the fourth quarter. So we're taking this game.
Is Al Horford the GOAT?
Al freaking Horford. Oh, my God.
It reminded me of what you said that last game. Like, dude, if it's going to take 42, 16, and 6 for Giannis to do that, and I reversed that and said, dude, if it's going to take 30 from Al Horford like to do that, like, yeah, that's going to happen. I can't wait to watch the next one. Like, that's the game. I can't
Al
wait to watch
Horford
that.
was college teammates with Joakim
Joakim
Noah,
Noah's
Sure
teammate.
was.
who has been out of the league for 5 years. And this dude is playing
6.
6 years.
No, he was playing, but he was out of the league.
I mean, even probably more than that, if we're being completely honest here.
How dare you dismiss his bubble minutes for the Clippers? Joakim Noah was playing in the NBA not 2 seasons ago, sir.
But it's true. Like, for somebody who was in college that long ago to still be playing at such a high level.
Yeah.
And he was like a salary dump.
Right.
On OKC
that
2 years
contract
ago.
was one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
OKC benched him
Terrible.
for half the season last year.
Sure did.
Last season.
Sure did.
And that, oh my gosh.
Good
that,
for Big Al.
For real.
The fact that Giannis dunked on him earlier in that game and then, did the stare down and
He
Al
was
Horford was like, okay.
I got you.
And then later on, squaboom!
It's always the
And
quiet
then
ones,
maybe
baby.
a little bit purposeful follow through with the offhand that just kind of smacked Giannis in the face
Put 'em
after
to
the poster
ground.
dunk.
Just telling you, man, them quiet, nice ones.
Man.
Gotta watch
And
out.
then there was that like Rodman, Karl Malone-esque tussle between Marcus Smart and Giannis
What
under
was
the
that?
basket.
Yeah, what was that?
It was literally it was
gonna
like
help you
Rodman,
up.
Karl
I'm gonna help
Malone
you
from
up.
the finals.
Yeah.
It looked exactly like that.
When Ramen kept getting up and bumping
Right,
his chest
yeah.
into him. And
I was like,
falling.
oh, these teams
Right,
are
right.
really starting to hate each other,
They were
man.
the- man, all right.
Love it. You need that in an NBA playoff series.
Need the hate.
I need that.
More of
Once
the
you're
hate.
at game 4, you guys just hate each other.
Yeah, that's what it needs to be.
That's just how it goes.
More hate.
All right, let's talk about Alex Caruso, shall we?
Why not?
Wow, I just got really sad. All right,
Why? He had an awesome season.
I
I'm
know he
excited.
did have an awesome season, but he played 41 of 82, and we all know why. But okay, let's take our first glimpse at our player grades graphic here for Alex Caruso's season, starting with offense. So we were all pretty close to within one another. I gave him a C+. Big Dave, you gave him a flat C.
Yeah.
Will the Thrill gave him a solid B. Let's start with you, Will. Why did you feel like Alex Caruso was worthy of a solid B on the offensive end this year?
So I did this based on the context of like who he is as a player and what the Bulls needed out of him. Obviously, he's not going to go out and get you 20.
Right.
The Bulls didn't need him to do that. They got 3 other guys for that. So I think given the role that he had to be averaging, let's pull it up here, 4 assists per game, career high. He shot the ball okay. It was actually a lot better before the injury. I thought he really helped connect all the pieces in the Bulls offense. And like I said, they didn't really need a whole lot from him scoring the basketball, but what he did bring in terms of, like we saw in the playoffs, just somebody who can like literally bring the ball up the court so that DeMar and Zach can get to their spots. Like maybe just because they didn't have anybody else to do that, it kind of skews my my thought about him, but I just think he was so solid, and B is a really solid grade for me. So that was my thought.
I hear you. I hear you on that. The C for me, the C was the solid grade. Like, that's how I looked at it. I mean, of course, I like what he did, and I was just thinking about it in terms of he's a guy coming off the bench. And early on in the season, it was perfect Caruso. You know, it was. We'll get into the defense later, but offensively, hitting those 3-point shots, those big 3-point shots, getting to the bucket, man, those cuts he would make on the baseline was just great. Or those cuts to the basket he was making from the elbow, like all that stuff was awesome that he was doing. And like you mentioned, also running the offense when they needed somebody to actually run the offense for them. Like, he did all of those things for them on the offensive end, and he made things simple for guys coming off the bench as well. So when you got a guy like that contributing in all those kind of facets, I thought it was awesome. Now, I just thought it could have been a little more, but it was hard to say because I know why it wasn't, you know, because after that injury, that's going to change you. You know what I'm saying? A little bit. You aren't going to do the same kind of things. But he wasn't a threat offensively.
No,
and for me to give him a B, I have to think of you as like a threat on the offensive end. But what he would add on the offensive end was gravy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, and he's going to hit 3-4 threes? We're not losing tonight. So, yeah, that's why I gave him that C. I probably would have given him a C+2, but, you know, C is fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of came down in between you guys. And you're right, Will, in that it's not like you need all that much from Alex offensively other than what he did well, which you mentioned the career high in assists, being a decent playmaker, whether it was in transition or in half-court sets. I look at those shooting splits, and I'm like, man, they needed it to be better. Yeah. And you mentioned that clearly his shooting when he returned from that wrist fracture dragged those overall numbers down a little bit because it was not this bad in the first half of the season. But overall, he finished shooting under 40% from the field, 39.8%, and just 33.3% from behind the three-point line.
And just quickly to give you context there, the first half of the season before he got hurt, it was 45% from the field, 36% on threes. So clearly a drop.
That clearly you can live with.
Yeah.
45 and 36, awesome.
Right.
For a guy you're not asking to be a high-volume shooter and scorer, love those numbers. And it's not necessarily his fault that clearly the wrist messed with something in his shooting form, his shooting motion, and he was just chucking bricks for the final third of the season and the playoffs, but they needed him to not be chucking bricks to have a chance. And I also, the reason I gave him a plus instead of just a flat C is because I kind of bled his defense grade into his offense, which was his impeccable defense helped not necessarily his offense specifically, but the Bulls offense as a whole be a better version of itself when he was playing at that elite level before he got hurt. So obviously would have loved to see better shooting numbers from him when he came back from that injury. C+, but to me, a C+ is fine from a guy who you clearly signed to be a pest on the defensive end and a quality leader, teacher, amazing bench guy, locker room guy, all of those intangibles that Caruso brings.
You were saying what?
I was just going to say, transitioning into defense, there's also the added aspect of, you know, the turnovers that he would force leading into transition buckets. And I think maybe he wasn't scoring those, but you have to give him credit for starting those breaks.
That's true. Yeah, that's a fair way to look at that.
Very fair.
So, looking at defense, I gave him an A. Dave, you gave him an A.
Yeah.
And I love that. Will the Thrill gave him an A+.
I thought about it, too. I thought about the A+.
So did I. So did I.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no qualms with anyone who gives Alex Caruso an A+. I think the only reason I went A instead of A+ is because he played 41 of 82. That's really the only reason I fell short of giving him that A+.
Yeah.
Because you guys are hard on the injuries.
Yeah. Dude, it sucks.
It sucks.
I gave
stability is availability.
3 incompletes of my 4 grades yesterday.
Yeah.
But he was great. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the things, when you were just making that point about him starting those the first play that pops into my head was the steal and the block he got diving on the floor, getting it to Lonzo, and him doing the Tom Brady.
That was like the greatest
field.
highlight the Bulls have had.
Yes,
oh my God.
And it all was started by him. It was all started by Alex Caruso. Think about the alley-oops that Lonzo was throwing to Alex Caruso. You know what I mean? Like, those kind of things were awesome. But defensively, I mean, dude, it was unmatched. Like, how good this dude was defensively for the Chicago Bulls. What he brings to the floor being at the size that he is, because you can look at Lonzo and say, well, dude, yeah, you're 6'6". You know what I'm saying? I understand it. You got that length. You can use those things. You look Caruso, you're not thinking that. You forget that he's like, 6'5". You know what I'm saying? You forget that because you look at him, you're like, that dude's 6'3". You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't play like that. But he plays it into his hands all the time, man. What a beautiful pest he is. And he's not the kind of pest where you're mad, like he's just hacking you, you know what I'm saying, and on you and fouling you all the time. And Riff, what did I do?
Call it what it is, Dave. He's not Patrick Beverly. He's not out here tricking y'all.
I wasn't even thinking that. But yes, he's correct.
He's not incredibly talented. And obviously, I think there was a little bit of a decline after the injury. And I think I'm obviously not putting as much stock in terms of fault into the injuries. Although, I will say this, Caruso maybe is more injury prone than anybody else because he is so aggressive in the style of play.
Throws himself around the court.
Exactly. Yes. Maybe leads to more injuries than other players. But the Bulls were 8.4 points per 100 possessions better on defense with Caruso on the floor as compared to while he was off the floor. I mean, this dude just like basically was the defensive identity. And I know Lonzo, you know, we talked about the same thing for him. It's true. Like, he is one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. You saw him guard Steph Curry, lock him up, tip the ball away, like force turnovers. And then you saw him guarding Giannis in the playoffs. And like, not just like being in front of him, but like ripping the ball out of his hands. Like, there just aren't very many guys who can do that. And Caruso had to do it all year long. The defensive burden that he carried, I would say, is similar to the offensive burden that DeMar carried on this team. And yes, the injuries are brutal and it just sucks. But I mean, he basically made this team a top 10 defense. And without him, they were 20th.
Gary in the comments saying they say white men can't jump, but boy, can they force that defense. Caruso knows how to take a charge. True. And also, that white boy can jump.
He can jump.
You ever seen Alex Caruso throw it down?
So slept on. That dude can really, really jump.
My goodness.
And what he added also to the rest of the bench, you know how I always say, like, defense is contagious and things like that. The contagion that he spread among everybody out there, as far as the defense is concerned, was super evident, especially in Ayo Dosunmu.
Right.
You saw it immediately in Ayo, his impact on him, man. But guys were putting forth effort because when you're doing all that diving on the floor, you know, when you are doing getting those floor burns and things like that, guys, you know, going to be like, oh, man, what am I doing? I got to try out here at least. So, yeah, he elevated everything as far as the Bulls bench was concerned defensively, and I really appreciated him for that.
Can I share some of the advanced numbers on him?
Oh, you may.
So, all right, Raptor is ESPN 538's all-in-one metric. He had the third highest defensive Raptor in the entire league, behind Rudy Gobert, Jokic, tied with Draymond Green, who, as I've said before, I think is the best defender of the generation.
Yeah.
He had a plus 2.1 defensive EPM, which is dunks and threes all-in-one metric, which is kind of like widely regarded as the number one all-in-one metric. And that is in the 94th percentile. And the 8.5 points per 100 possessions better defensively when he was on the court compared to while he was off was, I believe, in the 96th percentile of the NBA. So just like the impact that he had beyond even just the eye test of watching him play, which obviously we all think he's great, but the impact that he had on the Bulls, turning them into basically a top 10 defense all the way down from a top 20. I don't think there are very many players who are that talented as an individual defender who also have that kind of impact on the entire team defense.
True indeed, man. Special guy.
Before we get to our meathead grades, which will be fun, Big Dave, give the people one more quick shout out to the PointsBet, including yourself. Take your own advice when you do this right now, okay?
Listen, he's on me. Joey is trying to get me in a Ponzi scheme to go ahead and do this PointsBet. We're trying to put it all together, man. So we're working on it. All right? But if you yourself enjoy CHGO, one way to help us to continue to grow is to download that PointsBet app and use that code CHGO when you sign up, because not only are you getting those 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll get that free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of that awesome web content, and you'll even get a free T-shirt of your choice from that CHGO. Yes, sir. And in case you missed it, all these people in this beautiful state of Illinois and this hot as hell city of Chicago.
Woo!
It is ridiculous outside. All right? No, I don't like it. Give me a middle ground. But you can stay out of that. You can stay in your air-conditioned home, and you can
do
download.
it from the beach.
From the beach.
Beach.
Will thrill. Always
Go to the
thinking,
beach.
y'all. All right? Go to the beach and do it. All right? Get your beach. Download that PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish. And you can do that all from your phone while you're catching all those rays and feeling all that cool air upon your body. You'll be signing up with the fastest sports book, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Because once the game starts, you don't just bet, will the thrill.
You live your bet life.
Joey!
I'm Ricky Bobby. If you don't chew Big Red, then you.
It was Ricky Bobby. He's like, I'm Ricky Bobby. If you don't chew Big Red, F you.
F you,
Oh.
boy. That was
That's
so
how I felt
funny.
about Matt there talking about PointsBet.
Next time, Joey. There's always next time.
Came in so quiet. Hopefully the listeners at home could hear that one.
What's the one that he does with like the tampons?
I don't even remember
It's
that
so good. Freaking hilarious.
one. That whole, he was just running them down.
And the knife, like the hunting knife. Oh my god, all those smash cuts to his different commercials are fantastic.
Great movie.
All right, so speaking of ridiculous things, let's now move on to our Alex Caruso meathead grades.
Ooh,
And
listen, wait, before you even say it, put that up on the screen for me, Joey, please. I am so interested in what Matt says because when I think this is my first time seeing it. If yours is anywhere near what mine is, it's just as to why me and you are just absolutely insane and share a brain. But go ahead. I just want to know what it is.
I
I
like
have
that
no
all-
idea what to expect with these, and I'm so
or yours
excited.
either, Will. I don't know what that is either. I have
All
no
three
clue.
of us, our meathead grades are just unintelligible
Yeah.
sequences of letters.
We're really leaning into the
Right.
meathead grade aspect of things.
Excellent.
which I love.
I do too.
All right, well, so mine, I'll kick us off. LMRFD is sort of an apology and a good for you grade to Alex Caruso because before the Bulls signed this dude, when he was playing for a Lakers team that I hated, I called him Elmer Fudd because the dude looks like Elmer Fudd. He
did.
And I was like, why are Lakers fans so obsessed with this guy? He sucks. He's just like a bald white guy that wears a headband. Dead ringer for Elmer Fudd in Space Jam. Like,
Yes.
dead ringer.
Yes, you're right.
And while that may be true, he came and signed with the Bulls, and I was like, this Elmer Fudd is the good version of Elmer Fudd after he gets the Michael secret stuff and then believes in himself and is like dunking on Monstars in the second half. That's that Elmer Fudd. That's who Alex Caruso is.
Wow.
And I love it, and I appreciate it, and I'm sorry that I ever made fun of him, and I'm sorry that I called him Elmer Fudd, but now he can embrace it as the awesome Elmer Fudd that dunks. And that is my meathead grade for Alex Caruso.
So what does that mean, though? Like, what does LMRFD mean?
That's just a shortened way.
Elmer Fudd.
Elmer Fudd.
Wow.
LMRFD.
Wow, that's impressive. Good job.
Elmer Fudd.
That's impressive.
Elmer Fudd.
That's impressive. All right, that's just beyond impressive. I'm so impressed with that. Mine is not that, and I feel good now. Mine is not that, but it is along the lines of what Matt is saying. Mine, LTMMS, Laker tears make me smile.
Oh, I love that.
Just hearing all my friends who are Lakers fans, I got some friends who are Lakers fans, the tears that they were crying about losing Alex Caruso. Because before, when they lost him, they didn't care. The ones I knew, my friends, they were like, they don't need him. They'll be fine. Dude, we get Russell Westbrook, dude. You see everybody we got on the team, we're going to be killing people.
360. Who's beating this?
Yeah, okay, right. They really thought they was going in, but then was like, you know what we need? We need Alex Caruso, man. Why do we let him go, man? Why is he on the Bulls right now? Ha 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 ha. Your tears are right here, and they are tasty. That's good going down. And shout out to Joey also for that graphic of that meathead graphic also that you had up there. That is brilliant, sir. well done stuff.
Is that Rabbit from
No, that's
Rabbit
Caruso.
from
But he's
Mile?
Yeah. Yo, he's stupid. Yo, I like it though. I like it a lot. But yes, that's mine. Laker tears make me smile.
Mine is less creative than that. Mine is first team all.
Come on
defense.
with it. Come on with it.
First team all defense.
I love that.
I love it, man.
I'm mad at myself for being like not smart enough to figure out that that's what
Seriously.
FTAD stood for.
I'm like, Anthony Davis.
I love the string of letters that we've started doing.
right.
I think it's great.
That's the beauty of the meathead grade.
I don't know what else I can say that I haven't said already. I think this guy is one of the top defenders in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say.
Interesting.
He's one of the best
team
defenders.
all defense, even coming off the bench. First team all defense.
I honestly thought that during the first half of the season, I thought he could be one of the first players ever, if not the first. I'm not sure who could win Sixth Man of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season.
He was that good.
He was that good.
He's right. He was that good. He was that good.
What
and
we
that
did
is
learn
me
this
being a
year
meathead.
is that those in the media who have votes are now okay with, once again, voting enough towards a backcourt player to give them the award.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart, first
Marcus
time in
Smart.
forever since the glove in '96.
Correct.
To win defensive player. So now at least we know it's possible.
Yes,
For a
it
player
is.
like Alex Caruso to
It
actually
is.
win.
What year did
DPOY.
MJ win DPOY?
88.
88.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely much earlier.
That would be
Much
crazy
earlier.
if he won Sixth Man and DPOY. But
Yeah.
then there is also the element of, can a guy like Caruso, who, if the Bulls had anybody out and he was available, immediately went from bench to starter. You know, and like how many games did Tyler Hero start for the Heat this year? Wasn't paying
good
super
question.
close attention to that, but I don't think that there's like a mandatory actual cutoff as a part of the rule, right? As
Hero-
far as the voting guidelines.
Hero only started 10. I would imagine
10,
that it
okay.
is like significantly less than half, maybe like a quarter is the
Right.
cutoff.
Okay. Yeah, I would think
But
so.
he only played half the game, so
But you're right. But
Yeah.
He was that good though.
If Caruso and Lonzo didn't each miss significant time, like that could have been
the starting first team all
starting
defensive
first team all defense backcourt. Could have been.
But locking cats down, man.
Without a doubt, they both at least make all defensive second team. Like without a doubt.
Without a doubt. I mean, easy. One of them makes it first team. One is gonna make second team, just like that. But
And then final grades after Meathead, we were all pretty much in the same boat. I gave him an A-. Dave, you gave him a B. And Will an A. Was it just sort of blending the offense C and the defense A that led you to the B there, Dave?
absolutely, it's absolutely what happened. The A and the C blend together. I was like, yeah, that's a B. I did it like I was in school. That's exactly how I did it. Like those come together. That gives him a B. I mean, you want to say it's a B plus? I mean, all that is great. He's amazing, and I'm happy he's here on the Chicago Bulls, and we get to do this again with him next year. And yeah, I'm ready for next year already. And I hate that I'm this excited for next year because it's nowhere near close time for next year already. But I'm ready to see him back on the floor for the Bulls, man.
if I were to do this again, maybe I would knock the offense down to a B- and the overall down to an A-. But I just think like this guy is under contract for $9 million.
Yeah.
Hell,
They got him with the mid-level. Like
He is a steal.
it's just if you want to be a legitimate team, you have to have players who defend at a super high level, who can give you something as a three-point shooter, maybe a little bit more on the offensive creation side for a cheap number. Like you need to. And he is so important to the potential of this team being good. I think he had an awesome year. I expect him to be even better next year. Hopefully a lot of that has to do with health, but I think he's awesome.
And also an integral part as to why they even won that playoff game against Milwaukee, man. He was huge.
I'll always have a soft spot for guys that defend hard, defend intelligently, and are just like smart all-around basketball players.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love Lonzo.
Yep.
That's why Zach in the past has frustrated me. Just really smart, high IQ players. You need them if you want to be taken seriously.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody in the 3-1-3.
Oh, yeah. No, like seriously, like
While he
that, in
stands
that
tough.
fit of his, I remember that's the Bulls tweeted that picture of him. That was one of his pregame entrances wearing that outfit. I was like, oh my god, that is a dead ringer for Rabbit. That is Rabbit. So I just went with an A- because again, just really bad timing on him and that wrist not working in his favor as far as his shot when he came back, because he was chucking up some bricks and that was a real bummer.
It was.
That plus missing half the season, which again not his fault, but hard to give a guy a solid A when he plays 41 of 82.
But he balled.
But he did ball. All right, so before we get out of here, and Will, you kind of let us in there with what you were just commenting on, is the offseason and next season projection for Alex Caruso. Joey, I'm not sure if you have that graphic to throw up there, but so contract situation, you mentioned it, Will. Next year will be year 2 of a 4-year deal, $9 million, and it goes up a little bit in years, 2, 3, and 4, but never above 10. Mm-hmm. It's like 9.1, and then 9.4, and then 9.8, and then year 4. And I had forgotten this from back when they signed him, when I was just looking at it on Spot Rack earlier today. It's only a $3 million partial guarantee in year 4 for Alex Caruso. But I mean, if
They're going to pick that one.
I was going to say, like, you throw that man the rest of that guaranteed money and you throw it to him right now. I think there is zero doubt that Alex Caruso is back in a Bulls jersey next season. It makes no sense to trade this guy right now. None. You need his defense. You saw what this team did without him. You saw how their defense struggled without him. And, if there's anything, again, to nitpick and hope that he gets back this summer, it's getting that whatever kink was in his wrist worked through and hope that he bumps those shooting numbers back up to what Will pointed out they were before the injury, shooting closer to 45, maybe even 50 from the field and closer to 38, 40 from the three-point line.
And in a different kind of way, his contract, it also lets me know if Zach Levine signing his. Like, honestly, because it's not the money, because he got a lot of money. It's the years, that they gave him. It's the years that they gave DeMar. It's the years they gave him. It's the years they're going to give Zach. Like, they're really trying to build something here, and they have no problem committing, to these guys about bringing them back. So they're not playing around, man. And that's what Caruso talked about when he talked about the contract he signed, was the commitment that the front office was making to him financially and saying year-wise. We're making that commitment to him. But you're right, Matt. I want that wrist to be healed up, like, so bad. He has so many other injuries, I'm sure, that he just didn't even talk about, that I just know he needs that time off to come back and just be right. And I'm sure he's going to get off to a hot start, because that's usually what he does. He did that with L.A. also. Like, he would get off to those hot starts and then would get hurt and then would come back later on in the season and finishing out that way. Hopefully we find a way to just maintain that for him this year, and he can just, get off to a hot start and, just kind of level off, and play the whole season. I'm not saying he's going to play every game. That's, it's not what I'm saying, but nice 60-game season from Alex Caruso would pay dividends for the Chicago Bulls.
And just, like, going into the playoffs healthy, I think that really it just sucks. Like, he sat out with the back injury for, like, the last 2 weeks of the year, came back and looked good, and then immediately had the concussion and, was beat up, because he's just a very physical player. But
forgot about it, right?
Given the fact that he is he's an NBA champion, he's on a really reasonable contract. It gives me hope that AK, Eversley, Polk will find another, comparable, hopefully, player using their mid-level this year. That's just so valuable. And then on top of all that, his leadership, the way that he's coaching guys up, teaching people how to play defense, helping people understand where to be and, like, why they need to be there. I just think he is so important to this team. And if they traded him, I think they would have a really hard time making up that value, but also, it would just indicate that they're, not going to go anywhere. He's the right guy for this team and for just this moment right now. He is the perfect guy, because not only is the defense, like you said, it's the IQ, but the leadership also, man. And it's not a negative vibe around him at all. It's always a positive vibe, trying to, make sure these guys learn. You remember that video you and I talked about? We watched where he was sitting there coaching up the guys and explaining the terminology. It kind of reminds me of Thad Young from the year before.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I think
you mean Thadrick Johnson?
Thadrick Johnson. Excuse me. I think he was better than Thad in terms of just defensive impact, but Thad, the leadership that he had while also being able to contribute at a high level.
Right.
I think we've talked about it before. Like, you need to be able to play. You can't just be like Tristan Thompson, giving people challenges, telling them,
you go do it.
you do it, right?
You do it.
He backs it up with his play. He's going to be a coach in this league someday. He's just, he's
awesome, man.
Complete player, complete package. Got to have those guys.
Got to have them.
And it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier with your meathead grade, Dave. it's crazy that the Lakers decided, we can get by without this guy.
Right.
Insane.
I mean,
when literally that's almost all they needed.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If they kept Caruso, they're not a team that fails to make the play-in tournament.
Nope.
They deal with LeBron missing time, with AD missing a lot of time,
Yep.
and Westbrook. But if Caruso's there and they pay Caruso to keep him, do they not even do that whole Westbrook thing? Like all kinds of hypotheticals then unravel. But you see what that one guy provides, and as you were speaking about his contagious defense, Dave, it's not just what he individually provides, but with his coaching and with his demeanor on the court.
Yeah.
It brings out more from his teammates, which is like your team needs guys like that.
Yeah. Got to have them, man, on the squad. They are a must. Like Will said, it's a necessity having those players on the floor, man. And he plays for us. Like, he plays for the Bulls, man. Like, we get to watch this all the time and just experience it for years to come.
Jamal in the comments said, I remember asking my Lakers fan friend if Alex Caruso was worth this contract. He looked me dead in the eyes and said yes, with tears falling from his face. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Also, I am so glad that he just embraced the bald, and we're not with that early
the
Lakers days
bald.
Caruso peach fuzz stuff around the head. Dude, no, just do what MJ did. Straight razor,
Get it going.
clean bald look.
I appreciate him taking the stank off
get
the
out in
number
front of
6
it.
also. Taking
Yeah.
that stank off that number 6.
I don't
Thank
even
you very much for
remember
that.
who wore number 6 before Caruso.
I
To my
don't
knowledge,
either.
no one did. Right?
It didn't exist. Did not happen.
Thank you.
I actually don't remember, but I don't want to know. So.
Oh,
Don't say
yeah.
anything.
Oh,
Don't
man.
say anything.
You have definitely blocked it out of your brain.
Don't say anything.
See? It works, y'all. The
Shout
neuralizer
out
works.
To the Brazilian big man.
Oh, the neuralizer
Oh
works.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That number 6.
Oh, it was trash.
the hero who ruined Dwayne Wade's Chicago Bulls triple-double.
Your favorite.
That guy.
Your favorites.
I love him for that. I don't know what you're saying.
No, he loves
I'm not
him.
being sarcastic.
No, he loves
I
him
also
for that.
love
Okay,
him
okay.
for that.
Yeah, exactly. He loves him for that.
To hell with Dwayne Wade.
And he still ended up getting a triple-double on the final game of the season, which was a much better story for him in his career.
Having fun with those Utah Jazz, Dwayne? Cool.
I think he kind of is.
So that's the story with Caruso. He's come back next year. Okay, so here's this one other question I have about Alex.
Sure.
And we kind of touched on it a minute ago. I want to go a little bit further. Starting versus coming off the bench.
Okay.
Do you guys feel like it was a perfect role for him this season, starting out with a fully healthy roster? That you had Lonzo and Zach at the backcourt, DeMar at the 3, P-Dub and Vooch, Caruso coming off the bench. Assuming Lonzo, for the love of God, please, is healthy and ready to go at the start of the next season, you stick with that and bring Caruso off your bench, or do either of you flirt with the idea of throwing Caruso into your starting lineup?
I don't. I love him off the bench. That punch that he provides immediately coming off the bench, it reminds me of when LeBron saw Kawhi Leonard checking into the game.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me
In those
of.
finals?
That
Yes,
was
when he saw, oh, God.
one of the great forgotten moments of NBA
man.
history.
Dude, that's what it reminds me of when teams see Alex Caruso checking into the game. It adds a whole nother dimension because you're preparing for that starting 5. You're preparing for him. You're worried about the bench, of course. But when you see Alex Caruso come on the floor, it changes everything that's about to happen on the floor for your team and the Chicago Bulls. It's about to get a little grittier. It's about to get a little tougher. So if you were prepared for that or not, doesn't matter. It's going down. And you have to change what you were doing on your side of the ball. And I like that factor coming from him more so than anybody else coming off the bench first.
I said this when we talked about Pat, but I think it would be so great for the Bulls because right now it's clearly Caruso with Lonzo, Levine, DeMar, and Vooch is the best 5-man unit.
That's
they have,
fair.
Right.
We need to get to the point where Pat steps up and is now that lineup becomes the best. But I think the Warriors do this with Jordan Poole. They did it when Steph came back from the injury. They like to sort of balance it out that way. I don't really care who starts. It doesn't really matter to me. But I think they need to have that lineup, that best lineup that they have out there for closing minutes and as many minutes as they can.
I agree with that.
And I think it's not really a question that is their best go-to sort of death lineup, their version of the death lineup. So I don't know about starting, but closing games, that is the lineup for sure.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
I'm with both of you guys on that. I just threw it out there because I know that some Bulls fans
it's a good question.
been wondering about
that was
it
a
this
big
season.
thing when Mark and I did the playoff rotations.
Right.
It's like, do we want to start Io or do we want to start Caruso here and have that veteran leadership come off the bench, that defensive boost? But for the Bulls in the playoffs, it was like, we just need to have 5 guys out here.
Right.
Yeah. Who's
Can we
healthy?
get 5 healthy guys, please?
Right. I'll
Like
take
a
it.
drive-through window. I like 5 healthy basketball players, and
Would you like cheese with
not
that?
a prize would be great. All right, that's it. We are out of time for today. Thanks y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed today's episode. Subscribe to our CHGO Sports YouTube channel if you aren't already, so you always get those alerts when we go live, which we'll be doing again tomorrow. Same time.
Yeah.
Same place.
Right here.
3 o'clock.
Come on.
West Loop CHGO Studios.
Summer pick.
Continuing our player evaluations with Zach Levine.
Whoa.
We gave y'all some space with Zach because right before we started player evals, we were talking a lot about his contract and stuff like that. So we spaced Zach out. We're doing Zach tomorrow. Player grades.
You can't handle the truth.
Thanks, Joey. So we will see you there for that. In the meantime, go out, enjoy this weather, and tell some friends about the CHGO Bulls podcast.
Look at them.
Follow us on Twitter at CHGO_Bulls. Will the Thrill is at Won't Gottlieb on Twitter. Big Dave is at Bow, BAWL Sports. I'm Bulls_Peck. Our producer, Joey, is at Joey's Pathis on Twitter. Thanks to him, as always, for hanging out. And keep it right here on our CHGO Sports YouTube channel because coming up, we got CHGO Bets coming up at 4:30. We got Blackhawks, and it's the NHL Draft Lottery going on. So
I
stay
can't
tuned
wait
for
for the
that.
lottery.
And we got late night Sox and Cubs. So we're going to have content for you guys
taste
doing
out of
Cubs and Sox post game late tonight.
I hate you,
You're
Hendrix.
gonna stay up and watch some baseball.
Ugh.
Brutal ending for you and
don't
your
wanna
poor
talk
fellow
about
Sox
it.
fans last night.
Can't stand you.
Staying up
Hendrix.
for that? Yikes.
Get on my nerves, Hendrix.
Until tomorrow, Bulls Nation. Appreciate you as always. We'll talk to you. See you, Red. Be good.